Hello, hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well let's learn English together. And hello to you all. Good afternoon to the gods of English, the chickens of the forest, the gnus of the plains, the gibbons of the jungle, and there was another group, wasn't there? I seem to remember another group. No, I can't remember. Never mind. There's no point in worrying about it now. Perhaps I'll remember later. Perhaps. Perhaps not. Okay, so welcome to everyone. Come in, come in, come in and sit down. Okay, so time for us to check. Are you all there? Sitting down with a cup of tea or coffee? Yes, check. Are you all there sitting down comfortably on a comfy chair or sofa? Yes, check. Ivan, are the animals behaving?
Yes, Gav. They are following the drill.
Okay, well then, in that case, we must be ready to get started. You're all there, sitting down, cup of something in your hand, ready for the lesson. The animals are behaving according to the way we drilled them. Isn't that right, Ivan?
That's absolutely correct, Yuri.
I'm not Yuri, I'm Gav.
Oh, yes, sorry, my mistake.
Don't worry about it, Ivan. Okay, moving on. We're already in the studio, so let's get stuck in to today's revision lesson. It's mini revision part 3. Let's hear it, fellas!
Mini revision, mini revision, mini revision, mini revision, part 3.
Ah, thank you, boys. That was lovely. And so, on we go into mini revision part 3. Well then, let's begin. Now, yesterday, we saw what happened when Dave Squid didn't wake up at his usual time. He forgot to set the alarm and so he overslept. He slept too much. So, when he woke up, he realized that he didn't have enough time to do things at his normal speed. So, who remembers what he had to do? That's right. He had to rush. He had to hurry. He had to do things faster than normal. He didn't have enough time to do things at his normal speed. Like this lot. They have to clean the flat before Neil's parents arrive, but they don't have enough time. So they have to rush. Come on! Right, well, those boys know how to rush, don't they? They know how to rush and hurry. I'm not so sure that their cleaning skills are up to par, but, well, they're students, aren't they? And students are never very clean. Everyone knows that. Okay, on we go, back to Dave Squid. So, we know that Dave didn't have enough time to do things at his normal speed, his normal tempo, so he had to rush his breakfast. I think he only had time to brush his hair and his teeth and then quickly drink a cup of coffee before he had to rush out of the door to get to work. Now, let's just check that we remember what happens with these two new verbs, shall we? The verb to rush ends in sh, which means that in the third person singular, we don't add s, but es. So, when we were talking about Dave, about the third person singular in the present simple, we said that he rushes. Now, what about the synonym for rush, the verb to hurry? Well, the verb to hurry ends in a y, as we can see. And yes, it ends in consonant plus y, not vowel plus y. If a verb ends in vowel plus y, then in the present simple, for the third person singular, all we have to do is add an s to the end of the infinitive. With verbs which end in consonant plus y, like the verb to hurry, we don't add an s, but we remove the Y, and replace it with IES. So, when we talk about Dave doing things at a faster speed than normal, we say that he hurries. Okay, good. Now, back to something we started a couple of days ago. We were looking at how we form positive and negative statements and questions. Now, who remembers what we looked at? I know, you all do. Good. But let's quickly catch up with what we looked at. Okay, if we want to make a positive sentence in the present simple in English, we know that we have to start with a subject, then follow with a verb, and then add an object, if we need one. This way, we get sentences like these. I like scooters. You like motorbikes. Dolomite likes cars. If we want to make a negative sentence in the present simple in English, then we know that we have to use an auxiliary verb, the verb to do. We use the verb to do with not, putting them between the subject and the main verb. So, if we take our original sentences and make them negative, we get I don't, do not like scooters. You don't, do not like motorbikes. Dolomite doesn't, does not like cars. Okay. So we all remember that when we ask questions and make negatives using a verb in the present simple tense, then we have to use the auxiliary verb to do. If we try to make negatives and questions without the verb to do, it sounds incredibly primitive. Yes, people can understand us, but it sounds like we're particularly stupid cavemen, like these guys.
We not like motorbikes.
I not like scooters. We not like motorbikes. Dolomite not like cars. I not like scooters. We not like motorbikes. Dolomite not like cars. See, you can hear how terrible they sound. So even if it's possible to understand what we're saying, remember that when we want to make a negative sentence or ask a question using a verb in the present simple, we always need the auxiliary verb to do to help us. Now, when we make a negative sentence using a verb in the present simple, there are two areas where we have to pay attention. First of all, we have to make sure that we put the auxiliary verb in the right place. We can't just throw the auxiliary verb in anywhere we fancy. No. For a negative sentence using a verb in the present simple, we make sure that the auxiliary verb follows the subject. So, we start with the subject, I, you, Alfredo, or someone else, then add the auxiliary verb to do, and then add the word we always see when we're talking about negatives in English. What word is that? Not. Correcto mundo, planet 51. Okay, so we start with the subject, then add the verb to do, then add not, and yes, we all prefer the short, the abbreviated version, so we normally abbreviate do plus not to don't, and does plus not to doesn't. After that, what comes next? Yes, that's right, Wonder Woman. After that, we need the main verb. And what form is the main verb in? Yes, you all remember. The main verb is in the infinitive. Any changes we have to make to the sentence are made with the auxiliary verb, not the main verb. Okay, now this leads us to the second area where we have to be a little bit careful. The fact that verbs in the present simple change for the third person singular. So, when we add the auxiliary verb to the negative sentence, then we have to make sure that if the sentence is about the third person singular, if we're talking about Alfredo, for example, or Richard Roundtree, or Anthony Quinn, then we remember that we have to change verbs in the third person singular, and the verb to do. The verb we need as an auxiliary verb is no exception. We remember that do changes to does in the third person singular, and so when we're making a negative sentence using a verb in the present simple and we're talking about the third person singular, then we have to use does, not do. I do not drink vodka, and Alfredo does not drink soft drinks. You do not play football for St Johnstone FC, and Richard Roundtree does not play football for Scherdenbergen FC. They do not work as astronauts at the weekend, and Anthony Quinn does not work as a temporary secretary on Thursday evenings. Okay, great. Now, before we get started on looking at the form we use to make questions in the present simple in English, let's just think about the necessity, the need, the requirement for the English sentences to follow the pattern of subject plus verb plus object and, in the negative, subject plus auxiliary verb plus not plus object. Have a look at these sentences and listen carefully to the way they sound. Listen to them and try to focus on how awful, how terrible, how bad they sound. Here, right here and now, I want you to try and hear how the sentences sound wrong if we deviate from the correct pattern, the correct form. Number 1, likes Dolomite cars. Number 2, drinks beer Alfredo every night. Number 3, Gav English teaches. So, do you all see? In fact, the better question is, do you all hear the way that those sentences sound awful? They're painful to listen to. Now, okay, I accept that we can understand what the sentences are talking about, but they're not correct. Let's listen to them again and then hear the correct version, shall we? Number 1, likes Dolomite cars. Okay, now this is a very simple one and we can easily see what's wrong. In positive sentences in the present simple, we start with the subject, not the verb, and we follow the subject with a verb and then an object, if there is an object. So the correct sentence is, of course, Dolomite likes cars. Number 2, drinks beer Alfredo every night. Okay, and on we go. And what's wrong with this one? Yes, that's right, once again. The word order is all wrong. What's the subject of the sentence? Correcto-doodle-doo! The subject is Alfredo. And where do we put the subject? Yes, right again, Captain Banana. The subject goes at the front. We start with the subject, so the sentence has to start with Alfredo. And then, what comes next? That's right, Spider-Man. After the subject, we have the verb. And which word is the verb? Yes, the verb is the third person singular form of the verb to drink. Drinks. Alfredo drinks. Okay, good. Now what? Well, now we need the object. We need what Alfredo drinks. So, that means that we now add the object, beer. Alfredo drinks beer. Great. And now all we have to do is add the time adverb, and that goes at the end. So, put it all together and we get the beautiful sounding correct sentence, Alfredo drinks beer every night. Excellent. And on we go. Number 3, Gav English teaches. Now, this one's simple enough, isn't it? What's the subject? Gav. That's right. Okay, and is the subject at the beginning of the sentence? Yes, it is. Okay, that's good. Okay, so what comes after the subject? Right you are. Now we need a verb. Okay, and so we have to move the verb to teach, which is the third person singular form in this sentence, to the second position. Gav teaches. Good. And what comes next? That's right, Captain Wolfpants. Now we need an object. English. So the complete correct sentence is Gav teaches English. Brilliant. And that's it for the day. Yes, it's true. Our 15 minutes is up and it's time for us to go home. It's easy for you lot. Well, for some of you. Some of you are already at home. Now, you know what you have to do if you need some more English, don't you? Yes, that's right. toddle along to www.m5tv.hu and help yourself to the videos and vocabulary lists. I'll see you all tomorrow, but remember, have a great evening and get a good night's sleep. See you later. Bye.